Members and officers are kindly requested to ensure that their mobile phones are switched off rather than put on silent at the beginning of the meeting. Similarly, iPads should have their mobile data under settings switched off, and this will ensure that we avoid any interference issues with translation and recording equipment. We will first go through the apologies for absence. I have two apologies, Councillor Margaret Maley-Roberts and Councillor Alan Roberts. If anybody else is aware of any more apologies. Councillor Brian Owen.
Councillor Eric Wyn Jones sends his apologies.
Okay, thank you for that. I will now go through the list of attendees for the council. Councillor Richard Dew.
Good
afternoon.
Councillor Jeff Evans.
Good morning. Afternoon.
Councillor John Griffith.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Richard Griffiths.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Councillor Ken Hughes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Councillor Trevor Lloyd Hughes.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Councillor Vaughan Hughes. Councillor Vaughan Hughes. Okay. Councillor Alan Morris Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Carwyn Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Gwilym Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Marion Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Richard Jones.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Alan Mummery.
I'm present and good afternoon.
Councillor Brian Owen.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Bob Parry.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Gary Pritchard.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Dylan Rees.
Good afternoon.
Councillor David Roberts.
Present, good afternoon.
Councillor John Arwell Roberts.
Present, good afternoon.
Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Good afternoon and Merry Christmas when the time comes.
Councillor Peter Rogers. Councillor Peter Rogers.
I'm very sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah. Councillor David Rees Thomas.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Ian Williams.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Robin Williams.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'm going to just ask again if Councillor Vaughan Hughes.
You should have cover sheets going on yeah, I gave cover sheets.
Sorry, I think Councillor Jones isn't on mute.
Get some plastic wallets as well for Friday for the hand-in.
Sorry, can you please ensure? Thank you. Councillor, I think that's Councillor Clynos Medi Hughes.
Yeah,
yes, sorry.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Vaughan Hughes, can you confirm if you're here, please? No, not to know. Okay, thank you, everybody. Can we just ask now which officers are present, starting with Anwen Morgan?
Good afternoon, everybody. Dylan Williams, Deputy Chief Executive. Good afternoon, Mark Jones, 151 Officer.
Robin Jones,
Good afternoon, Robin Jones, Legal Officer. Good afternoon, Rhys Howard Hughes, Director of Education, Skills and Young People. Good afternoon, Vaughan Roberts, Director of Social Services. Hugh Percy, Head of Service for Highways, Waste and Property. Good afternoon, Christian Branch, Head of Regulation and Economic Development. Good afternoon, Ned Michael, Head of Housing. Good afternoon, Gethin Morgan is also present.
Gethin Jones.
Good afternoon, Gethin Jones. Good afternoon. Freya Owen is also present. Good afternoon, Sean Hughes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And we have apologies from Rhys Hughes and Caris Edwards and Arwell Owen. Okay, thank you. Moving on now to item 1, which is a declaration of interest. I have a declaration from Richard Owen Jones on item 5 on the agenda. Are there any more declarations of interest? No, no more.
Yeah, Mr. Cadeirydd.
John, yes.
Yeah, Richard Owen,
The same as Richard Owen Jones, I declare an interest in item 5 due to connection with the ambulance service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. We will now go on to the minutes of the meetings of the County Council. Again, the only part of the minutes that could be discussed is their accuracy, and no motion or discussion shall take place on the minutes except upon their accuracy. I now request approval of the minutes of the County Council meeting held on the 26th of October 2021, which is an extraordinary meeting. Rather than go through everybody's name, if everyone is agreement, we can agree that the minutes by affirmation. But if anybody disagrees with the minutes on the 26th of October 2021, then please indicate.
Can I propose that they're correct, Chair, Councillor Llinás Medi?
Thank you for that. Yes. So there's...
Yes, and I second, Chair, Councillor Ian Williams.
Thank you. And then the same will apply for the minutes on the 22nd of November 2021. Again, we'll ask for affirmation, but if anyone disagrees, and please make themselves known. No? Could I ask for a proposal then on that again, rather than go through every...
Yes, I propose that they're correct. And likewise, I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Moving on to item 3 in relation to announcements. First of all, I'd like to congratulate to everybody involved in arranging the winter fair in Bilthwells, and to everyone from Anglesey who exhibited their stock or produce at the event and who were amongst the prizes. Congratulations also to Isaac Floyd Eve from Holyhead High School for being elected as the Anglesey representative on the Welsh Youth Parliament. Best wishes to him in his role. A big thank you to all council workers, elected members and health and care staff, as well as all key workers in our communities for all their work in dealing with the prevention of the spread of coronavirus. Currently, the number of cases continues to be high on the island, so I appeal on everyone to be careful. Our sympathy to any member and staff who have suffered a bereavement recently, and we will now pause as a mark of respect to those who have lost anybody or who have suffered as a result. Thank you, everyone. And finally, before we move on to the order of business, I'd like to wish you all, staff, elected members, and all Anglesey residents a very Merry Christmas, and keep safe, everyone. So we will now go on to the presentation of petitions on item 4 on the agenda. And please note, no petition has been received in accordance with paragraph 4.1(11) of the Constitution. So now we'll go on to item 5, which are notice of motions pursuant to rule 4.1, 13.1 of the Constitution. And we'd like to receive a notice by Councillor Jeff Evans, please. I call upon Jeff.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead, Jeff. No, sorry, Jeff, your mic's on mute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead with your notice of
Okay.
motion.
Before I present the notice of motion, I need to indicate why I felt I had to place such a notice of motion before this council. I placed a notice of motion before council following what I regarded to be a dreadful state of affairs regards the attendance of ambulance services, especially during emergency situations. And I have to state that I am in no way castigating any individual or group or any employee of the ambulance service or the NHS. It is things behind that which are the cause. I have a sister-in-law, aged 77, who has an enlarged heart. She's immobile, requires 2 new hips, enlarged legs, who fell out of bed and crawled to a bathroom. She ended up lying in urine and excrement for 17 hours on a bathroom floor until 2 paramedics attended, and then further awaited an ambulance until 3:30 the following morning. I did put in a complaint to the Welsh Ambulance Service, and I have received a reply from Jason Killens, Chief Executive of the Welsh Ambulance Service, where he lists the varying issues, the pressures, the workload of the ambulance service, and highlights particular delays in handovers at hospitals. And I note, and I'm going to read a part of his letter, which has been sent to me, received yesterday. It says, because he's highlighting one of the major parts of the problem is the inability to hand over people from ambulances to hospitals. The Trust has agreements with health boards and the Welsh Government that the handover of patient care at hospitals should take no more than 15 minutes. Our records confirm that through the call cycle, the longest wait to transfer patient care at Glenclwyd Hospital was 8 hours and 8 minutes, and the average wait was 2 hours and 40 minutes. The longest wait at Ysbyty Gwynedd was 7 hours, and the average wait was 2 hours, 9 minutes. And the longest wait was at Wrexham Maelaf, which was 4 hours, 27 minutes, and an average wait of 1 hour, 32. Such delay has a severe impact on our ability to provide a timely response to patients, as there are fewer ambulances available. So that was the initial part of why I was putting in this notice of motion. And that notice of motion I have discussed with the Chief Officer of the Community Health Council, Jeffrey Alavi, who has sent me a statement which says, during the course of our conversation, you read out the proposed motion which you to place before council. It accurately reflects Community Health Council concerns, and I believe that Community Health Council members would support your proposals. Now, since then, and this relates to Sunday, just 2 days ago, I have a son and I have a 15-year-old grandson. My 15-year-old grandson from Holyhead is a type 1 diabetic. When he woke up, he was collapsing. He was fainting, he was ill, he was vomiting, he had nausea, he had all different problems. My son had to be called from work. They called the ambulance service, explained he was a type 1 diabetic, and he looked as if he was going into a coma, and they were told they wouldn't be able to attend for 8.5 to 9 hours. My son then came home from work. He took the boy, who was in hell of a state, to Ysbyty Gwynedd, and by the time he reached Ysbyty Gwynedd, he was in a coma. The hospital came out, took him from the car, took him to intensive care on a stretcher, and he has remained in intensive care or resus since. They identified, just read this down. Adam was ill on Sunday. They called the ambulance, and they said that he was not able to respond. They took him by car. He was taken to the emergency care where he was examined, and it was determined he had all the symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis, at high levels of ketones in his blood, and his body was shutting down. Diabetic ketoacidosis and a coma is extremely life-threatening condition which can cause a patient to fall into a state of unconsciousness and potential death. The coma is reversible if treated immediately, but left untreated or delayed will result or can result in permanent brain damage and potential death. In order to treat Andrew, he is receiving insulin intravenously into veins, fluids to rehydrate his body, nutrients into his veins. and he is now starting on a bit of a road to recovery, though he's still in hospital and will be for some time with his father staying with him. He is now in rehab, and his father has been given a bed to stay. He continues to be monitored for any further life-threatening problems, such as problems to the brain, the kidneys, and the lungs. He will stay in hospital until he is fit and well enough to eat and drink, and tests show a safe level of ketones in his body. The doctor specialist told my son Andrew that Andrew could and would have died if he had not got to hospital and been treated within 2 hours. The ambulance service wouldn't have been there for 8.5, 9 hours, and I would have lost a grandson. My son would have lost a son. Totally, absolutely scandalous. But anyway, that leads me on to my notice of motion, which I'm now going to read out. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. I needed to explain what a position we are putting our people in. They're dying around us. My intent is to seek the support of Anglesey County Council in seeking reassurance and positive action from the Betsy Cadwaladr University Health Board, the Welsh Ambulance Service, and Welsh Government in provision of effective health support services, including the ambulance service, to meet the needs and the demands of the community, thus combating the difficulties and decline in health services, which are now having such a detrimental effect on the health and the well-being of the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Evans. We're very sorry to hear of your personal family issues, and we fully understand where you were coming from in highlighting that prior to reading your motion. Thank you for that. The motion was, can I just for any endorsements on the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Second the motion. Okay, thank you for that. Before we go to the vote, would anybody like to speak on this motion?
Yes.
Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Sorry.
No, I'll give way. I think Councillor Brian Owen started before me, so
Okay, so
croeso I chdi fynd gyntaf, Brian, a'i ar ddol di. Thank you, Glenn.
Iawn, diolch fawr. Dwi'm yn gwybod beth o'n i ddeud.
I don't know what we can say. Jeff has presented this motion. He's speaking from experience, having had to wait so long for an ambulance. But we must remember we're in a pandemic, we're facing difficult times, and the service is under huge pressure. But we can't have people waiting for so long for an ambulance. I don't know what the answer is, but as a council, I think we should send, I don't know, a complaint or a report to the ambulance service and to the government, saying that there is room to make a big improvement here, and to ensure that people who are facing emergencies receive the service they need. I can speak from experience over the last 6 weeks. My wife broke her foot, and the service she received was excellent, so I can't complain about that. We didn't need an ambulance, we could take her to hospital ourselves. But I understand where Jeff's coming from. It's painful, it's a problem, and the hope is that we can put pressure as a council by sending a letter or an email to the ambulance service, asking them what they can do and how they can improve. Thank you.
thank you for that, Councillor Owen. I'll now call upon Councillor Nicola Roberts. Would you like to speak on this, Nick? Councillor Roberts.
Just to note, and I know it's an extremely challenging period, our health services have been under an immense amount of pressure for a number of years, and now they're facing an even bigger challenge with COVID. And it's not just the health service, it's all public services. But I think that the fact that there is an agreement between Plaid Cymru and Labour, which has noted the challenges, and they have an agreement to work on the plan by the end of 2023, which is a better future for social care, which is to continue to better integrate health and care and to work towards ensuring equality in terms of recognition and pay for health workers. So I think we have some sort of suggestion there that Labour has accepted that there is a challenge, and now something will be done in collaboration between Labour and Plaid Cymru. It is work in progress, but I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more collaboration between the Council and the Health Service. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Dillon Rees.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say that what we've heard from Councillor Jeff Evans today is disturbing would be an understatement. And I was pleased to hear him say that the motion has the full support of Mr. Jeff Ryle Harvey, the head of the Community Health Council in North Wales, which is the patient watchdog. And as one of the 3 councillor representatives who sit on the Ynys Môn branch of the Community Health Council, I would like to fully support the motion. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you for Councillor Rees. Can I call upon Councillor Clenos Medi Hughes?
First of all, thank you for bringing the motion to the Council, and can I sympathise with you and your family for what you faced over the last weeks and days. You have raised an issue which is very valid during a period when public services, including health and social care, are under unprecedented pressure. Obviously, this isn't just a matter for Anglesey, it's a national issue. I just want to assure you that your concerns have already been discussed with the chair of Betsy Cadwaladr. I've already discussed your motion. Before that, we had been discussing similar issues through the WLGA, and we also have a North Wales leadership group where we have the police, the ambulance service and the fire service. And we do discuss the ambulance service's ability to respond during COVID. I think what's extremely important during this period is that the people who listen to what you're saying are the people who are trying to solve the problem. We all have members of the family who work in the health service who are trying their best. We have 2 members here who have declared an interest because they work for the ambulance service. As Councillor Brian Owen, when patients arrive in hospital, they do receive a good service. So I think it's important that we pay tribute to the workers who are out there every day providing a service and trying their best. As Councillor Jeff Evans said, the problem doesn't lie with the staff who work in the service. But I think we do need to highlight the challenges at a local, regional and national level, and I will continue to ensure that those issues are highlighted. North Wales Council leaders have a meeting with the Health Minister this week, and they'll be using the examples that you've highlighted during that meeting to show the challenge that the health service is currently facing. And obviously, I do support your motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Clenos Medi. I now call upon Councillor Aled Morris-Jones.
Mr. Cadeirydd.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to support the motion, and I realise the immense pressure and relentless pressure on the health service. We know that this time of year is difficult for the health service at the best of times, but we've had more or less 2 years of this pandemic, we now know that there is another variant circulating at the moment. I think we should write to the Health Minister, Eluned Morgan, just to highlight these cases. But there is one thing, Chair, that we might be able to do as a council, and I know that it's been done previously, but which would be to appeal to people to have the vaccination. It is sad that people are refusing to do that. They're refusing the vaccine just so that they protect other people, if not themselves. We hear about so many cases where there are many people in hospital because they haven't had the vaccine. I've mentioned this before, but it might be timely for us to raise this issue again, and I'm very happy to support the motion, Chair.
Thank you for that, Councillor Alan Morris-Jones. Councillor Peter Rogers.
Yes, thank you very much for letting me speak. I think that I support the motion, and I'm sure that Jeff must be absolutely thrilled with the reception the positive reception that he's had from the councillors this afternoon. I think Llynos Medi's contribution about, she's already taking this up. It really is shows great positivity, and it's surely that it was well worth bringing this here, because I was always afraid. I have a great feeling that we are responsible. We've got to start looking after ourselves and paying much more attention, to some of the things that are leading us to require medical treatment in the ways that we are reading it. For instance, I'm very welcome the other day seeing the curriculum in schools, with PE. When I was at school, PE was doing exercises and playing games and other things. But some of the other emphasis now on our, the way that we live, our healthy eating, and these sort of standards are so important. That we look after ourselves healthily. We've really got to tackle, and as an authority, particularly with youth services, with areas for kids to play and things like that, we really have got to make ourselves much more fit and healthy than we've ever done, and to have a responsibility. We can't. The ambulance services, they can get them to the hospitals, but they can't unload the vehicles because of the backlog that is there. There isn't an answer, and we've just heard the last speaker saying particularly. I think that what the real message is that we've got to take a much more responsibility for our own health, and to spread the message, and to make sure that young people understand a lot of the things that we are doing in life is detrimental to our health, and then we end up with problems like that. I support the motion as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Peter Rogers. Now call upon Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I fully agree with Jeff bringing this forward today, because obviously when you do have something like that happening to your own close family, then it does strike home. But generally speaking, I would say over 90% of the people who do call an ambulance are probably very happy with the service that they get. We have had 3 councillors who are paramedics on this council, and 2 of them are still paramedics, I believe. So, and they know firsthand the amount of pressure that there is on this particular service. I think Jeff obviously has highlighted what's happened in his case, and probably there are others where this has happened also. But I must say that the silent majority of the people who do receive first-class service from the ambulance service, and I think we need today to express our thanks to all these men and women who are working in Anglesey, doing a fantastic job and looking after the elderly, after the other people there. So let's not be too downhearted. And I hope that Jeff will take courage from the fact that we are, as a council, taking notice of this and that we will be supporting his motion to see if we can get more facilities and more resources. But with the resources that they have in Anglesey, I think the ambulance service are doing a first-class job, and may they carry on doing this in the future. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones. Councillor Trevor Lloyd-Hughes.
Diolch yn fawr, Mr Cadeirydd.
Thank you, Chair. I support Councillor Jeff Evans, 100%. I've seen both sides, but having said that, I realise what's happening in the ambulance service and what's been happening for a number of years. Just like the two other members of the council who are paramedics, we have faced problems for a number of years, but things are getting worse. But it's not just us, it's the whole country. I am concerned about what's going on. For example, the other evening I had a phone call from a resident of Holyhead, and after midnight she received a phone call to go to Bangor to collect her mother from hospital, and that was after midnight. She had to go all the way to Bangor because her mother couldn't come home otherwise. But as Councillor Dylan Rees has said, we have 3 members on that committee, and I'm sure we're willing to take this issue forward. Having said that, I fully support Jeff. I think he's made a very good move there. But in the end, colleagues, you know, where have we been over the years? We haven't been putting enough money into the health service, and I'm not talking about us as council, of course. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Trevor Lloyd-Hughes. Councillor Kenneth Hughes.
Yeah, diolch, Mr Cadeirydd.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I also support Jeff's motion, and as Councillor Trevor Lloyd-Hughes said, this problem has been going on for a number of years now, and certainly there should have been a resolution over that time, because unfortunately lives are being lost because the ambulance service can't cope. They know full well what the problem is, and you know, in my opinion, if you know what the problem is, well, there is a solution. There should be a solution now, and I'm putting pressure on the Welsh Government to find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Kenneth Hughes. If there's nobody else that wishes to speak, could I ask if Councillor Jeff Evans, as the proposer, would like to speak one more time before we go to the vote?
Yes, thank you, Mr Chairman. As I said, this is not about castigation. This is not about blame on any individual or on NHS workers. They are doing the best they can. But this is an issue that's not only affecting my family, it's affecting the communities across Anglesey. I know I'm hearing they can't come out to cardiac arrest or heart attacks. We need to support our community at large. And I now have to thank all the councillors for their excellent words as they've considered this notice of motion. Thank you all.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. We will now go to the vote. Those in favour or against, would you please indicate, starting with Councillor Richard Dew.
Cefnogi.
Support.
Councillor Jeff Evans as the proposer. I'll take it as read that you support. Good. Councillor John Griffith.
Yeah, cydymdeimlo a dymuno'r gorau.
Yes, I sympathise with Councillor Jeff Evans, and I wish him the best. I certainly support the motion.
Yeah, Councillor Richard Griffith.
I accept the motion and speedy recovery to Councillor Jeff Evans and the family. Thank you for that, Jeff.
Thank you. Councillor Ken Hughes.
I support.
Councillor Trevor Lloyd-Hughes.
I support, Chair.
I don't know if Councillor Vaughan Hughes is present. If you are present, can you indicate? No. Okay, thank you. Councillor Clunos Medi Hughes.
Yes, I support.
Councillor Aled Morris Jones.
Cefnogi, Mr Cadeirydd, I'm a
I
cynghorydd.
support the motion, Chair, and Councillor Jeff Evans and his family are in everybody's minds during this period. Thank you.
Councillor Carwyn Jones.
Happy to fully support the motion by Councillor Jeff Evans, and I send the family my warmest wishes for a speedy recovery, Jeff. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Gwilym Jones.
Yeah, fel pob arall, gai na.
Yes, just like everybody else, can I wish a speedy recovery to Jeff's family, and I support the motion.
Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones.
Yes, I think it is council's duty to bring these concerns when they arise to the attention of people who can possibly do something about it. So I fully endorse what the councillor said on this one.
Councillor Marion Jones.
Yes, I support, and best wishes to Jeff's family.
Councillor Richard O. Jones.
Yes, I've declared an interest on this item.
Yes, you have. Councillor Alan Mummery.
Yes, I fully support.
Councillor Brian Owen.
Can
Can I echo everything that has been said by everybody, and I support as well.
Councillor Bob Parry.
Support.
Councillor Gary Pritchard.
Yeah, and llwyr gefnogi.
Yes, I fully support and wish a speedy recovery to Councillor Jeff Evans and his family.
Councillor Dylan Rees.
Yes, I'm 100% in favour, and best wishes to the family.
Councillor David Roberts.
Yes, I support and I wish a speedy recovery.
Thank you. And Councillor John Elwell Roberts, you also expressed an interest. So, okay. Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Yeah, cefnogi a gwella.
Yes, I support, and I wish Jeff and his family a speedy recovery and good luck on Monday.
Councillor Peter Rogers.
Yeah, can I just say that Jeff hasn't made you aware? I happen to know that he's already spent himself nearly a week in hospital about a fortnight ago, and he's going back into hospital to have an operation himself. And I would like to wish them all the success and best wishes to the family, and I fully support the motion.
Councillor David Rees Thomas.
Yeah, dwi'n cefnogi ag yn...
Yes, I support, and best wishes to Jeff and the family.
Councillor Ian Williams.
Happy to support.
And Councillor Robin Williams.
Yes, I'm happy to support.
Thank you. That's unanimous, apart from the two expressions of interest. I'd also like to take this opportunity, obviously not to vote, but to wish Councillor Evans all the best for his forthcoming operation and the issues with his family that hopefully will be resolved, medical issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll now move on to the next notice of motion by Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am asking for our County Council to make a net zero carbon buildings declaration, together with planned actions to deliver commitments starting with immediate effect. Tomorrow is too late. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Jones. Is there a seconder on this before we go to a debate? If there's a debate?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. Would anybody like to speak on this or offer an alternative motion or anything? No. Nobody wishes to speak? David Rees. Okay. Sorry, David Rees, Thomas.
Ie, mae'n ddrwg gen i. Mae'n ddrwg gen i. Rydwch chi glwad fi'n iawn?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? If you can't hear, I can move somewhere else if needed. So I'd like to thank Councillor Bob Llewellyn-Jones for raising this matter and for the opportunity to draw attention to what we've already done in the Council. And of course, this motion is about the Council's buildings. This Council declared a climate emergency in September 2020 and committed to be a carbon neutral Council by 2030. This commitment is relevant to all Council buildings. I'd like to remind you that the Executive in March 2021 endorsed the development and implementation of a new corporate climate change programme to enable the authority to transition into a carbon neutral organisation by 2030. A number of relevant actions were approved, including recruiting a new climate change manager to lead on development and delivery. And I'd like to welcome Rhys Williams, who's just taken up the post. I'm not sure if he's watching today. I haven't had an opportunity to speak to him, but I will do so soon. Of course, his priority will be to prepare a climate change plan. This shows that we have responded. We've already taken appropriate action, although we are still continuing with the COVID pandemic. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for helping to reduce our carbon footprint. The Energy Efficiency Strategy 2017-2022 sets a target to reduce energy consumption by 15% by 2022. Energy use in public buildings has reduced by 18% to date during this period. This has been achieved by reducing the overall number of buildings. Of course, we've sold a number of buildings, constructing more energy efficient buildings, investing to become more energy efficient, insulating buildings, of course, and installing new boilers. Carbon emissions. Carbon emissions from public buildings have fallen 32% between 2017 and 2021. This is because of a reduction in use combined with a reduction in carbon factor. This is likely because of energy savings due to investing in the refit scheme, combined with less use being made of buildings during the COVID-19 pandemic and the reduction in the carbon factor. The Council has invested £24 million, or £2.4 million through the scheme on projects including installing solar panels, installing LED lighting. I think we were the first council in Wales to install LED street lights across the island, upgrading heating and ventilation systems in our leisure centres, replacing the oil boiler at the Amlwch Leisure Centre with a more efficient heating system, saving 230 tonnes of CO2. The scheme is expected to reduce energy consumption by 3,875,107 kilowatt hours. And our carbon emissions will fall by 958 CO2 equivalent. This reduction is expected to be achieved by the end of 2022. As part of the optimised retrofit programme scheme, We are installing 24 hybrid air source heat pumps, and we're in the process of installing at least 25 battery storage units that will work hand in hand with the solar PV system. As you can see, good progress has already been made. We have an ambition and a commitment, and as you can see, we're willing to take action. Unfortunately, your tomorrow is our yesterday. As a result, I believe the motion is inappropriate and there is little value in supporting your motion today, and that we celebrate the good progress made. I can stand in front of you, and if I was in the chamber, I would be standing in front of you as the Council's climate change champion. I'm very proud of the action we've taken, and I know that the programme will continue. We're all on the carbon neutral by 2020, 2030 journey. The journey started a long time ago. A lot of progress has been made, and of course there's a lot of work to be done in future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Summers. Councillor Brian Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to see that things are moving forward, and as Councillor Bob Llewellyn has noted, tomorrow is too late. But I must say as well, 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer ago, but 10 years definitely, I brought a company into the council, and this company were willing to put solar panels on each building that we had, and that were suitable to take this solar panels for free, but that was rejected. So things have happened in the past, but weren't taken into consideration, and I'm glad to hear now that we are moving forward. But it has cost us quite a bit of money to do that now as well, hasn't it? Thank you.
Councillor Owen. Councillor John Arwell Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm supportive of the notice of motion, but having said that, I do echo what Councillor Davies Thomas has said. We have started as a council moving on this for years now, and in the past, when I led the council with Ian, 66% of the street lighting had been changed already to LED lighting. Not just in the last couple of years it's been done, but it's been done over the years. So we are moving forward as a council, and I don't see much new in this notice of motion, but I am supportive of it, but just making the point that there's nothing new noted here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Roberts. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Councillor Alan Morris-Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this work is ongoing work, isn't it? As we've heard already, as Councillor Brian Owen noted, and Councillor John Arwell Roberts has noted. This is a journey and not a destination at the moment, and we're all proud of the work that's being done in this area, especially in hearing the challenges that are ahead of our planet in the meeting held in Glasgow recently. So what this motion does is to bring this to everybody's attention again. And can I thank Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones for being willing to do that, because we do know Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones has a tradition of wanting to see the best for the environment, and has brought motions before the County Council on many occasions in the past in relation to this. So happy to support the motion noted today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Morris-Jones. I know you've indicated you want to speak, Councillor Llewellyn-Jones, which you will be given the chance to, obviously, as you propose the motion. If there's anybody else that wishes to speak before you. Councillor Hughes.
Yes, thank you. I think what's important here is that we don't need to remind ourselves that this work needs to be done. Things are in motion already, if you like. Councillor Davies did refer to the 2.4 million of money that's been spent already on this. And there was a target of 15% by 2022, but we have reduced our use of energy 18% already. And carbon emissions from council buildings since 2017 and 2021 have reduced 32% in that period. So accepting this notice of motion today, there's no reason to do that really. We've already begun on that work. What we're trying to say is that the work is happening. The council is agreeing with what Councillor John Arrow Roberts has said. For example, the LED lighting has been put in the previous administration where Councillor Brian Owen was talking about 10 years ago. I think he was the leader at the time, so I'm not sure how that didn't happen at the time, but there are plans in place now in order to put solar panels in, as Councillor Davies Thomas draw your attention to, the air pumps. The battery storage is also used, and also we've been increasing the number of electric vehicles. I'm working with Mentermon to see charging stations and so on. So we're doing a lot in this area. So it misleads away in the public to say that we need to do something because we haven't done it already. We have been doing it already. And what we need is to continue with that work programme and make sure that we achieve the target of net zero by 2030, which isn't far away, really, is it? And that this is high on our agenda. And can I also congratulate, because these successes have been made, as everybody knows, over the last 2 very challenging years for public services during COVID, and being able to come back and say what we've been able to achieve in that period is praise to everyone who's been linked to it in this area. And that's before we've been able to appoint, because the executive and county council did adopt a budget which put additional money to this area, which meant that we could appoint a climate change manager, and that appointment has recently been made and can be driven forward even further. So just a few comments like that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Councillor Smeddy. Councillor Jeff Evans.
Yes, thank you for letting me come in again. I totally support the notice of motion as has been submitted. Though I'm aware that there is a commitment by Anglesey County Council to aim for zero carbon emissions, sometimes there's a need to reiterate it, to bring it to the fore again. It is as important in life as COVID-19, or even more important even than COVID-19. It's a worldwide problem, and we can do our best in this little part of Wales, this little island, to support the effects of climate change. I'm all for it, and I see this notice of motion of bringing it to the council and to the public attention again. Let's show that we have a commitment to climate change, and that we are committed yesterday, today, and for the future.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. Before we go to a vote or any amendment, there doesn't appear to be anybody else wishing to speak, so I'll call upon Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
As I've been named, I'd just like to say, at the time, I can only take the horse to the water. I can't make it drink, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor. Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Mr Cadeirydd, ac diolch I pawb sy'n mynd I
Thank you,
siarad.
Chair, and thank you to everybody who has spoken on this, especially Councillor Davies Thomas and the leader herself, supporting what's before us today.
Did some research on this one, Mr Chairman. At COP26, held recently in Glasgow, we saw world leaders set out their commitment to tackle the climate emergency. Countries signed up to reduce emissions, safeguard forests, and to tackle methane. It will be local governments in cities, towns, and rural areas across the world that will be mobilizing and driving the collective actions required to address climate change over the coming years. It is a fact that more people across the world trust local councils to reduce carbon emissions in their areas than governments and world leaders. And this is why I am asking you all this afternoon to make this huge commitment starting from this today, although I do take on board, of course, that we have started and that there are wonderful things going on the council at the moment to reduce the carbon. As has been said before, it is too late to leave it for another day. There are many innovative initiatives being brought together by various local authorities using the local latest technologies to evaluate a new low energy housing strategy and looking at working with care homes to reduce energy consumption and increase efficiency. We must look at how to lower our carbon emissions to create warmer and more comfortable homes and buildings, and in so doing, we will be helping the NHS. It is estimated that building 1,000 homes a day in the UK with low carbon efficiency measures would reduce energy bills by £700 million a year and save the NHS £1.9 billion a year, and in the process supporting almost 31,000 new skilled jobs in the construction and retrofitting industries. It would be good for our housing department to look at what the council in York is delivering, a new build housing programme with all homes built to achieve zero carbon. Remember, it is the action taken in the places where people live and businesses do business that will determine how successful we are in tackling the climate emergency. Let us now give the people of Ynysmôn the confidence that our council is going to lead the way in taking action to tackle global warming and ensure our children and their children have a planet that they can survive and thrive on for generations to come. Cofiwch, bydd fory yn rhy hwyr.
Remember, tomorrow will be too late. Thank you very much.
With that, Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones. So, well, two more wish to speak on this, is that correct? Yeah, I did indicate that that Councillor Robert Llewellyn-Jones was speaking as the proposer, and I did offer the opportunity to speak further on this. So, failing that, I will now go to the vote.
It's actually, sorry, Chair, it was in response to what Councillor Llewellyn just said in his final summing up, that's all. I couldn't respond to anything he hadn't previously said.
Robert Llewellyn has the final word.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, Robert Llewellyn has the final word on that, Councillor.
Chair, point of order.
We've just dealt with this point.
Yeah,
we've dealt with it.
We've dealt with it. So go to the vote. Yeah, as the chair, I indicate that we will now go to the vote on this, please. Okay, thank you. So going to the vote, I call upon if you approve the notice of motion or against. Councillor Richard Dew.
Thank you,
Chair. Yes, in considering that the council has started to take steps already, I object to this.
You're against. Councillor Jeff Evans.
I am supportive of it.
Councillor John Griffith.
Because we are taking these steps already, I'm against.
Councillor Richard Griffiths.
Thank you, Chair. With respect to Councillor Bob Llewellyn, I'm abstaining.
Councillor Ken Hughes.
No, happy to support.
Councillor Trevor Lloyd Hughes.
Abstaining.
Councillor Clynos Medi Hughes.
Thank you, Chair. Just to remind that I think this has been done back in September 2020, and I'm not sure how this notice of motion can make a difference at all, because we've already done more than we expected to do in the last 5 years. As a result, I'm rejecting it and want to draw the attention of people in Anglesey. We've done this yesterday, not tomorrow. Thank you.
Take it that's a no.
I take it that's a no. Councillor Clynos Medi, yes, against? Yeah, thank you. Councillor Aled Morris Jones.
Chair, this is something that we should all be able to unite on, because this work continues. It's not relative to one administration or the other, and as a result, I'm happy to support this motion. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Carwyn Jones.
Thank you. As we as a council have expressed a climate emergency already, we've had a message here from the head of highways that 96% of our street lighting are LED already and saved 75%. Everything is in place already now for many years, so we've taken massive strides with housing, leisure, all types of things, solar panels on the schools for many years. So with that fact that this is nothing new, we've been doing this for years with the Energy Island, I reject this today.
Thank you for that, Councillor Carwyn Jones. And can I respectfully suggest that you just indicate which way you're voting going forward, please? Thank you for that. Councillor Gwilym Jones.
I'm abstaining, Chair.
Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones.
Can I say how disappointed I am? This becomes a political item and politics shouldn't enter into global warming. Very disappointed at the ruling group.
So I take it that as the proposal you support anyway, Councillor Robert.
Of course I do.
Yes. Councillor Marion Jones.
Did he hear them later?
This isn't political. If you read the motion, I can't support it, so I reject it because it asks for something to be done tomorrow. We've done this already yesterday. It's being done already, yes, but what's being asked in the motion has been done already.
Okay, so I take it you're against Councillor Marion Jones, yes?
Yes, I said that.
Yes. Councillor Richard O. Jones.
Yes, thank you. I reject this because Councillor Robert Llewellyn is asking us to begin this today, but we're down this path for many years now. So with that, I reject it.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Mummery. Councillor Alan Mummery.
For
the same reasons that have been expressed, I also reject.
Councillor Brian Owen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I know that work has begun on this already, but that it's today, tomorrow, next month, next year. We need to keep the finger on the pulse. Councillor Robert Llewellyn in his place, and I support the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Bob Parry.
The finger is already on the pulse and things are continuing, so reject it.
Councillor Gary Pritchard.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
Yes, for the same reasons as many others, as this work has already begun I can't support this motion or anything that asks us to begin the work when that work has already started, and we are down that path further than we'd imagined already, so I also reject.
Councillor Dylan Rees.
Yeah, dwi yn cytuno gyda...
I agree with the principle behind the motion, but unfortunately it doesn't add any value to what's happening already, so I reject.
Councillor David Roberts.
Yeah, dwi'n cytuno.
Yes, I agree, it doesn't add any value. That wouldn't have come up unless we had... I reject it.
Thank you. Councillor John Arwell Roberts.
Yeah, fel dwi 'di deud,
Yes, as I've said, we've started on this journey. There's nothing new in principle. I'm 100% behind it, but I can't support this notice of motion. We've begun this already, so no.
Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Yeah, yn anffodus
Yes, unfortunately, I'm the same. This work has started already. We've committed already, and we continue to be ahead. So it'd be silly to restart. So unfortunately, no, I reject the motion as well, even though I support the principle.
Councillor Peter Rogers.
Fully support the motion. Thank you very much indeed for bringing it.
Councillor David Rees Thomas.
I thank once again the Councillor Bob Llewellyn, and I agree with the principle, of course. I'm glad that we've had this discussion this afternoon, but the work has begun and there's more to do. And the motion itself, I'm looking at the motion, it doesn't add anything extra to what we're doing already, so I'll have to reject the proposal. Thank you.
Councillor Ian Williams.
Yeah, and there more.
Yes, in the same way as a number have said already, we have made a commitment already to be net zero by 2030, and we've done a lot of work already, and there'll be more to do. I do support the principle, but unfortunately, one thing nobody has mentioned is that we in Wales and the UK are taking great strides, but 80,000 acres of woodland are being cut down each day. Half an acre was cut down in Benllech last week. 1,000 in China.
Okay, Councillor Williams, got me across you. Could you please indicate the way you want to vote, please?
No, I reject it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Sorry, matter of drefn.
Sorry, a matter of order. Is Councillor Brian Owen going to apologise for calling me an idiot?
I heard that as well.
I heard it, but
No, I'm sorry, I did.
Brian, be a man and apologise.
Luckily, it's been web recorded, so you can look back at it then, possibly.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Roberts. That will be looked at, but I didn't hear that, and I wouldn't have allowed that, obviously.
Apologies, but it's one thing to accuse people of political games, but it's something else to be shouting names out towards one another. We are here to represent the people, and if we can't do that with respect, who can?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can we move on now, please? Please, can we move on now? Councillor Robin Williams, did you indicate how you voted? Sorry.
In the same way, I support the principle, but I don't see any benefit to this, so I'm going to reject it today as well.
The vote is 6 for,
okay,
16 against, and 3 abstentions. So that motion is lost.
Okay, can I just say that that motion is lost? There are 6 votes for, 16 against, and 3 abstentions.
Can I come in?
Yes. Anne Morgan, you'd like to come in, please?
No. Diolch am intro bleidlais.
Thank you for going through the vote. Can I note what's been said there for calling names? We will, as officers, listen to the recording back and know who said what. And we'll, if you leave that with us as officers, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll now move on to the next following of motion, notice of motion by Councillor Richard Dew.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Before putting the motion forward, just a little bit of background to what's behind this motion. As we know, a number of people enjoy fireworks on fireworks New Year's Eve, or very often now to celebrate some occasion as a birthday or wedding or so on. But we must remember that some in our communities are scared of these evenings. High noise will create concern for a number, not only for animals or pets or farm stock and horses, but also on older vulnerable people, young children, and some amongst them, and unfortunately, a number who suffer from PTSD, for example. Is the purpose of this motion to reduce the effect on vulnerable people, and having a warning of fireworks, there's an opportunity to protect those with the biggest risk, with an opportunity to take steps to protect them. The hope, therefore, is that everyone can enjoy fireworks without the worry about the negative effects on our communities. Therefore, the proposal is that we ask for the need for all public firework displays within the local authority boundaries to be advertised in advance of the event, allowing residents to take precautions for their animals and vulnerable people, and that we actively promote a public awareness campaign about the impact of fireworks on animal welfare and vulnerable people, including the precautions that can be taken to mitigate risks, and to encourage local suppliers of fireworks to stock quieter fireworks for public displays. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Councillor Dew. Could I ask for that motion to be seconded before any debate arises? Councillor Clynnos-Meddy.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So that motion is seconded. Can I call upon Councillor Nicola Roberts, please?
Thank you very much, Chair. As someone who's worked with animals for many years, I'm very glad to see such a motion being proposed. I've seen the effect that it's had on the health of animals, and I wouldn't like to think of people suffering in the same manner. So very glad to see this motion being proposed today. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Robin Williams.
Thank you, Chair. There are a number of the electors that have contacted me about this issue over the last few months. And as someone who is the owner of 2 dogs, even though I'm very lucky that these 2 don't react much to fireworks, they are sitting very quietly in this room now, but that shows something, I suppose. But this is something that I think we should be supporting. And at the end of the day, it does create a lot of concern for a lot of animals. And I think that we should be supporting this. And it's something that's been called for by the RSPCA for a number of years now. So I would be happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Williams. Councillor Carwyn-Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I thank the portfolio holder, Councillor Richard Dew, for raising this today. It's an important issue, as Councillor Robin Williams has said, for our local residents. A number have contacted me as well since 2013, though I must say. And this is an opportunity for us to raise awareness of this matter. But unfortunately, if we want to get much stricter legislation, it would have to come from Welsh Government. So I ask people to think about this seriously, to stop legislation from being needed. I have a small dog as well, and I think the world of this little dog. I didn't think I would, but I do. And he's very scared when the fireworks come around. And there are examples of dogs having run away or died even with pain that the fireworks do create. So thank you for raising this awareness, and I'm happy to support.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kenneth Hughes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. On the same lines, really, what exactly are our rights if people refuse to do this? Can we force them to do this? I'm supportive to the motion, definitely.
Thank you. Councillor Marion Jones.
Can I come back on that, Chair? Sorry.
Who's asking that, sir?
Councillor Marion Jones. I think Richard Dew wants to come back just to answer Ken Hughes' point. If I can just come in, Chair, sorry. Yes, we can't force people. We can't force people. That's up to Welsh Government or UK Government. But what we do is encourage people, the people that put on fireworks displays, that they do take into consideration that there are vulnerable people in our communities. So I think we'd, launch a campaign on social media, for example, and in the press, and just raise awareness of this with the people who have put things forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Marion Jones.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm not the owner of a dog or pet, but I think of vulnerable people in this kind of situation, and there are a number of electorates have contacted me, and as a result of that, I'm happy to support this.
Thank you for that. So just jump in. Councillor Aled Morris Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also very proud to be able to support this motion, but I think maybe that you need to reword it a little bit better, to be honest, because authority boundaries, why don't you change that to be the area of Anglesey County Council? If this is under the power of Welsh Government, it should be in the motion that we write to Welsh Government on this matter. I'm happy to support, but I don't think that you've done a very good job at drafting the wording, to be honest. You can be more precise where it covers and the effect. And I'd like an explanation. I will support it, but I do feel that you could be clearer with the proposal that's being put forward, with the wording and the county council element, and maybe that it's in the motion that we write to Welsh Government. I accept maybe that you will do that, but it should be noted in the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Morris Jones. Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to support the motion that's being put forward today. People like hearing the loud noises at times, but I haven't got a dog, but I have heard it does affect the pets. So if we could ask those with the fireworks, I think I'm not sure what effect this will have to make them quieter, but I do support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Councillor Jeff Evans.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure whether Anglesey County Council are in a position to place such a determination on public firework displays. I don't think it's in their remit, though obviously government can put forward proposals to make something lawful. Public fireworks, the problem with them is, and I have two dogs, and my dogs tend to be frightened as to the bangers and the rockets. It's not bonfire night. It is the week before. It's the week after. How do you control all of this? And I would prefer that something is done where, instead of it being mandatory, where council and others promote good usage, promote self-discipline, promote and indicate the issues surrounding it. Because yeah, dogs are affected, pets are affected. Some, as Carwyn said, have died, and I know of older people who are frightened. But I don't know how you would be able to administer much control over this. There's lots of fireworks. There's public displays. There's private displays. There's garden displays. There's fireworks being out of the local pub or club, and it gets done all year round. So I'm not quite sure how you do it unless you get a Welsh government to introduce a law to say that firework displays should be not only advertised but maybe registered, and then you become aware of them and are able to take actions and precautions to safeguard animals and people who are fearful of them. So I understand the principle of it, but I don't see how Anglesey County Council could be the administrators of the conditions.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Yeah, just the ymateb.
Yes, just to respond to that, to Councillor Jeff Evans and his, I don't think we're going to administer this, but as the microchip of animals started, I think what we're doing is just promoting the principle that it's the right thing to do. And by promoting that principle, people will adopt a way of doing things. So I think that's the motion that's being put forward, really, is that we are going to promote getting this quieter fireworks, etc., hoping that more people will use them. Other countries have committed to this already, but if the governments we do have see that people want this and want quieter fireworks, the sellers of the fireworks will also realise that the market is there, and by promoting what's in front of us today is the way of doing that. So I think we do have to support this motion and what's before us today, and that it is a step in the right direction of using quieter fireworks. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Nicola Roberts. Anybody else wish to speak before I refer back to Councillor Ken Hughes?
Yeah, diolch am
Yes, thank you for allowing me to come back. If something is not under our control, do we have a right to propose a motion on it? I'm just asking that question because that's come up previously, I think. If something's not under our control, maybe we shouldn't comment on it.
Yes, can I just refer back to Robin Williams, who would like to come in on that, please?
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Cadeirydd.
Thank you, Chair.
Os ydyn ni'n gyfrifol...
If we are responsible for a matter, then obviously it's possible to have a motion. And this is a matter, I think, it's being read in the context of the powers that we have, and this has obviously been referred to matters that are happening locally. So I think that has file within the compass of what's happening acceptable by the Constitution.
Thank you for that. Okay, I'll give you a chance to come in again, Councillor Roberts.
Apologies, yes, I would say this does come under our remit, because how often our dog wardens having to bring animals in because of fireworks, etc. What type of other things happening with the health of animals and the social side of how fireworks are happening? Because I do think this comes under our remit, Councillor Ken Hughes, but accept your comments that this is important that we keep an eye on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Alan Morris-Jones.
Diolch, Mr Cadeirydd. Ga I ddiolch I Mr Robin Williams.
I thank Mr Robin Williams for his comments. I refer back, therefore, to the point I made. You need to change the wording from local authority boundary to
cyngor sir Ynys
Anglesey County Council, to make it totally clear that it's Anglesey. I did ask a response earlier, but I didn't receive one. So I take...
I think you'll have to repeat what the issue was. I think you need to repeat.
Yeah, just Councillor Morris Jones, sorry, it's up to the person who proposed the motion, is my understanding.
If I could come in, Chair, could I come in there, please, Chair?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, dod yn ôl I be mae cynghorydd Aled Morris Jones yn gyfeirio
Coming
at.
back to what Aled Morris Jones is referring to, part of the original motion that was that we do write to Welsh Government asking for their support, and to the UK Government as well, asking them also. But the advice from the monitoring officer was, as Councillor Ken Hughes said, if this is not under our direction, to take that out, and that's what we did on the advice of the monitoring officer. Thank you.
Diolch am yr esboniad.
Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you for that. Councillor Marion Jones.
Yeah, dwi'n siarad yn yr ail.
Yes, I'm speaking for the second time, but just because of one point that's come up. Of course, this matter has come up and been accepted because it comes within the remit of the Constitution in 4.1.13.3 that they have that the council have responsibility for all matters that have an effect on the area. And if this isn't affecting the area, I'm not sure what does. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Marion Jones. Councillor John Arwell Roberts.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Not so much on this matter. It's the fact that I'm looking at the multi-screen here, and lots of people who are receiving the English translation is coming across. It's very difficult to hear two people talking at the same time. So I would suggest respectfully that whoever's receiving translation mute while they're
that wishes to speak. Does Councillor Richard Dew wish to sum up before we go to a vote?
Yeah, diolch, Mr. Cadeirydd.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As I said, this is the beginning of the journey, just to raise awareness of the problems that some people and pets have with the fireworks. As I said, this is something local for us to go out through social media and so on and ask people who are having these exhibitions just to give people enough warning and not just go out and put off fireworks as they wish. There are rules in place already where they can't set off fireworks after 11 o'clock at night, apart from, I think, New Year's Eve and fireworks, bonfire night. So there are some regulations in place already. But as I said, if people go out and announce when they're going to do it, it will help people. If something helps vulnerable people, that's what we wish. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We will now go to the vote. I know I won't be voting as a dog owner myself and as someone who personally witnessed the apparent death of a dog on bonfire night due to fireworks. I could speak on this, but I'm not going to. It was a very traumatic scene. So we'll go to the vote. Councillor Richard Dew proposed this, so I'll take it as read that you accept. Councillor Jeff Evans. Councillor Jeff Evans. Can you mount speakers on? Thank you.
Okay, I am in a difficult situation with this because I would like to see public encouraged as opposed to as certain determinations placed upon them. I would like to see them support good firework displays and not frighten dogs and animals and the public. I will vote in favour of the motion, but I have a lot of reservations about it. One thing with the last speaker just said, he said that he would like to make people aware. Aware is what I like. Make them aware, try to encourage them, but in the meantime, I will support the motion.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. Can I just remind everyone, for the sake of expediency, that we just restrict that the comments to the vote itself. Everyone has been given the opportunity to speak. Thank you for that. Councillor John Griffith.
In favour of the motion as it is.
Councillor Richard Griffiths.
In favour.
Councillor Ken Hughes.
Support.
Councillor Trevor Lloyd Hughes.
Support.
Councillor Clynos Medi Hughes.
Yes, second and support.
Councillor Aled Morris Jones.
Support.
Councillor Carwyn Jones.
In favour.
Councillor Gwilym Jones.
In favour.
Councillor Robert Llewellyn Jones.
In favour.
Councillor Marion Jones.
Support.
Councillor Richard Jones.
Support.
Councillor Alan Mummery.
Support.
Councillor Brian Owen.
Support.
Councillor Bob Parry.
Support.
Councillor Gary Pritchard.
Support.
Councillor Dolan Rees.
Support.
Councillor David Roberts. Councillor David Roberts.
Support.
Councillor John Arwell Roberts.
Support.
Councillor Nicola Roberts.
Support.
Councillor Peter Rogers. Councillor Peter Rogers. You made it, yes. Okay, thank you. Councillor David Rees Thomas. Councillor Ian Williams.
Support.
Councillor Robin Williams.
Support.
Thank you for that, everyone. I didn't see any against or abstentions, so I take it that that was unanimous. We'll now go on to item 6 on the agenda, the Welsh Language Promotion Strategy 2021 to 2026, to receive a report by the Chief Executive, please.
Ian Williams.
Yeah, Williams is the proposer from Ian Williams.
You're on mute, toch?
So I'm proud to be able to promote the Welsh Language Promotion Strategy from 2021 to 2026. It is a requirement that we prepare a Welsh language statutory, and the purpose of the strategy is to outline how the Council will promote the strategy and facilitate its use. This strategy builds on the previous strategy, and the main priorities in the strategy are children, young people and the family, the workforce, and the third one is the community. There is a target, but again, as a result, that the statistics aren't clear because that the results of the last census haven't been published. We will be re-looking at the target. At the moment, we've put it about 325. There is an action plan for the first year, and the Welsh Language Forum will look at our progress at the end of the first year. So I'm happy to propose the Welsh Language Promotion Strategy to you today, and thank you to the officers, Freya Owen, for preparing the strategy. Thank you.
You're mute, Mr. Cadeirydd.
You're on mute, Chair.
Sorry for this. I'd now like to call upon Clynos Medi, please.
Yes, can I second the proposal? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else wish to speak on this? No? Okay. We can, again, by the minute, as we did with the minutes, take this by affirmation, if you're all content with that, rather than go to the vote, since how nobody wishes to speak on this or against this. Are you all content? Would you like to indicate if you're not content with that? Yeah, you're all okay. Okay, we'll accept that by affirmation. Then we will now go on to item 7, the transitional plan, and this is a report of the Deputy Chief Executive was presented to the Executive on 29th of November 21. We now call upon Councillor David Rees-Thomas to propose, please.
Thank you once again, Chair. This has been before the Scrutiny Committee and the Executive already. To begin with, I'd like to thank the officers for putting it together and working very hard to work on this transitional plan. The aims have been set out very clearly in the papers that you have before you for the meeting. It's a transitional plan of Anglesey, and following the pandemic is a part of the title in brackets. The officers and executive felt that some kind of plan was needed to bridge between the period that we're in now and the period that we've called the post-COVID period, but maybe COVID will still be with us. And to bridge, of course, between a period of this administration and the new administration that we will have following the election in May 2022. The plan has been established on the basis of the annual document and the corporate plan of 2017 to 2022. Some plan was needed, and I think that this plan is realistic and is something as we as a council can achieve in maybe the next 12 months. But of course, nobody could foresee which way COVID will take us and what else is before us. So possibly it will need to be adapted as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Councillor David Thomas. Can I call upon the leader, please?
Yes, and can I second that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else wish to speak on this? No? Okay. As before, we can accept this by affirmation. So if anybody, if you're in agreement with that, or if you're against it, please indicate. Okay, I'll take it that everyone is in agreement with that, so we don't have to go to the vote. Thank you. We'll now go to item 8 on the agenda, which is the statement of gambling policy, and this is to receive a report from the Head of Regulation and Economic Development as presented to the Executive on the 29th of November 2021. I now call upon Councillor Richard Dew to propose the report.
Yeah, diolch, Mr. Cadeirydd.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, in line with the Gambling Policy 2015, the Statement of Gambling Policy has to be accessed every 3 years, and this notes the way that the Council will regulate gambling establishments. The report was discussed by the Executive, and the recommendation by them was that the full Council adopts the Statement of Gambling Policy for 2022 up to 2025. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I now call upon the leader, Llyn Osmedi, please.
Can I second that proposal? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else wish to speak on this? No? As before with the 2 previous items on the agenda, we can agree this by affirmation without having to go to the vote of everybody, unless anybody wishes to speak against it. If you're in agreement with that? Yes? Okay. We call that passed then. Thank you. That appears to be the last item on the agenda. So there being no other business, I now call this meeting to an end.